Brava. Mahalo and welcome all blessed Brava babies to this perfectly attuned transmutation entitled Be Brava Live. You're safe here. My darlings, we talk a lot about surrender, we talk a lot about freedom, but there is no surrender, there is no freedom without first safety. And we see this in the animal kingdom. If you can't get a dog to smell your hand, you certainly can't get that dog to play with you. We see this with children. A traumatized child is no fun to play with, my darlings. And so when we look at this, you might think there's a bit of an infantilization, right, with all the inner child work we do, and we talk about creating that safe container, but it is truly to work with ourselves so that we can be fully Brava, fully free, fully expressed, fully visible and out there, my darlings. As you know, I am an external processor, so this is my process. So what I'm sharing today is very raw, very real for me. I've been binging and I finished The Undoing with Hugh Grant, who happens to look just like my fucking mother. Okay, cuties? So it's, this is why I don't watch fiction, okay? I am too much like sucked into the world, okay, my darlings? So I'm over here like Nicole Kidmaning, like on the edge of my bed, like, is my mother a murderer? My darling, she's not. And yet and still, these things can sometimes trigger things that come up from us that are very real and very raw. And my darlings, this is the thing. As we grow more into our strength, we are able to face things we were not able to face when we were younger and weaker. Okay, cuties? So me in my 20s, you might relate into all my little babies joining. If you're like in your teens, I was like untouchable, my jars. I had no vulnerability. Okay, cuties? It doesn't make you great in the sack, as they say, to be so fucking stoic. It doesn't make you a great lover, but it can make you like good at like exploring the world and being like fucking great and cool, right, cuties? The stronger we get, the more we learn we are able to face those things. And trauma that's stored in the body, trauma is the stuff that we're like, I'm gonna put it in the closet for later. Here's a great experiment. Think of a person in your life that is a challenging relationship. If they were in your closet, what item of clothing would they be? Would they be a warm sweater, or would they be like a weird snake? Okay, darlings? So the stuff that we put away in the closet for later is what is called trauma. Okay, cuties? That's what shuts us fucking down. And that as we grow stronger, we're able to look at it. As we learn to feel safety in any situation, to know that we've got that this is true home. This right here is home, not like your first area code. Okay, cuties? Your area code does not define you. This place in here is home. The more we can tap into that, the more we can face all those boxes in the closet, pull them all the fuck out, and be like, boo, you've been sitting there for way too long. I am done with you. And yet, let's bring it out. Okay, cuties? So if you feel like, wow, I am like so too old for this shit. Like, how am I still dealing with one relationship? You are probably processing it in a way that you never have been able to before. Let that land for a second. You are safe here. You are safe here. So let that be the mantra for the day. You are safe here. You are safe here. And now this whole invention of personality. Okay, cuties? My alter, Lucia, she could not express herself. In order to be fully expressed in a home where she had to walk on eggshells, she had to go to the edge of the lawn in her hometown in Montclair, New Jersey. She would walk to the edge of her lawn in the backyard. Okay, so there's no houses. And she would scream outward that way. And then her parent would come find her and say, you're not allowed to scream here. She got kicked out of the dinner table every single night for screaming because she could hold it and then she'd scream. Okay, cuties? But the way that she found freedom and found safety was through performance. The first time that she was on stage, she was like, bitch, I get to be rude to people? Oh shit, this is great. And not just rude, the first thing that shows up when we allow ourselves to be expressed is usually the thing that we most told we can't be, right, cuties? But then all the other beautiful things can arise as well as the artiste. So in your artistic work, this is the place to express. If you're on this personal growth path, but you don't have an artistic expression, you're like, how do I say? You're like an old man with a trophy wife who can't fuck her. You know what I mean? Like, get that Viagra. Like, get that juice flowing. So, my jars, this was my survival mechanism. I created Lucinda when I was a little girl. Lucinda was just bitch. And my mom called her out. She was like, Lucia, you can't just be a bitch and then just call yourself Lucinda. Like, it's just you being a bitch. So tell me, like, be a better actor, like create a better persona, like maybe change the name completely. Then in my mid 20s, I created Ella in Hollywood. You can see her pilot, Lucia Breezy's pilot, as Ella in Hollywood. This was reattaching to my inner child. So I had rebirthed myself. I moved to LA and I was like, ugh. My therapist gave me this one-liner that was like, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. And I was like, I will. I'm going to wear cute clothes, leggings for days. And I'm a little girl woman. So I created Ella, and Ella in Hollywood was like this alter ego that was just like wide-eyed and bushy. Okay, cuties. And she'd like never experienced trauma and was just like, give it to me, life. So that was fun, right, cuties? I outgrew that shit. And then Lucia decided to channel a god and become Brava and like eat her mom. Like, you can't like, you know, really surpass a woman's leadership coach unless you become like an actual god. So that's what she's done. Okay, cuties. And now I do leadership training and I'm also god channeler. So that's Brava's lineage. The point of this saga is to say this is the survival mechanism that worked for me. Okay, cuties, but and still in the leg. We might look at that as a negative, like, if I learned to dance real good because I was like trying to escape my dad and I was like, if I could two-step real fast, like I'll get a scholarship out of this place. Maybe my dancing is just a survival mechanism I should let go of. No, my darlings, that's the gold that we keep. That is the gold that we reap. And then we don't have to stay down under the water. We pull it out. Okay, cuties? The strengths you gain from the home in which you are carved into, right? The environment, the hot kennel, the hot pit that you're thrown into with all your parents' unhealed psychological traumas. Okay, cuties, you're burned in that fire and you come out a diamond and you can let that fire go. Don't keep burning if you're a diamond. Cuties, no one wants to buy a burning freaking diamond. They want cooled off. Okay, calm, cool, collected on their finger. So, my daughter, you pull the gold, you hold it, and then you tell yourself, I'm safe here now. I'm safe here. I'm unsure. Okay, cuties, I am unsure because I'm a fully adult human being. So our super skills are more often than not at one point used to save us from situations that we couldn't survive as children. And now we get to hold those and use those in any way we want. You're safe here. So I hope this is resonating with you on some level. And that's all she wrote. I always think of like funny ass things to say. Like also making my coffee. I'm like, Brill. Who's she? God, I guess Brava's talking to me. Not this morning, my darlings. She's raw, she's real. She's just sharing exactly what's on her heart. And if you find yourself like late at night watching a TV show about sociopathic narcissist Hugh Grant and like WebMDing to find out like what psychological trauma you have undergone, no, you are not alone. You could always research TB. You could always book a coaching session. You could always find a therapist. You could always do a plant medicine. There are so many resources. You, my darlings, we have never lived in a world more full of resources because everyone is like, me too, I'm traumatized, help me. We're here to help each other. But most fucking importantly, my darlings, you know the work really is sitting with your own feelings. That's what it is. Sit with your own feelings, let them come up. And my darlings, another thing, noticing your little weird fears, okay, cuties, in the world. So like, if I get invited to things, I'm immediately like, social anxiety, okay, cuties? And of course, a person who didn't feel safe in their home and like love and fear were connected would fear human interaction. I've never understood people who are deeply at ease in the company of others. No, performance party. It's a performance party. Okay, cuties? So notice for yourself, where's your little fear? Are you like weirdly uncomfortable eating in public? Are you like weirdly uncomfortable being alone? A lot of people have that opposite. Maybe fear of abandonment. That's where you look into. You say, you know what? I am like in my mid-thirds. I'm like a badass bitch who can like squat real hard. And yeah, I'm afraid of this little thing. Let me figure that shit out. So R.I.P. Louis, because I mean, I wouldn't even say R.I.P., but his comeback special was horrific. Okay, cuties, you can't come back with observational comedy. We want your deep psychological knowing of your truth. You've like gone to the depth of your psychosis, like figured that shit out. You come back and share it. That's comedy. I'm sorry. Do I have a weird sense of humor? Yeah. Okay, cuties, and not appreciate Louis just grinding into like sick old man style observational comedy. So canceled because he's not funny. If you're funny enough, you could always come back. And by funny enough, I mean speaking to your actual fucking truth. So, Dars, R.I.P. Louis, but in his previous special before the whole thing, he shared a really intelligent insight that I'm going to share with you now. He said, when you get a rescue dog, you never know what their trauma is. So you like throw pennies and they're like, oh, and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened to you, puppy? Like with pennies, like what happened to you and pennies? And that's us, okay, cuties? That is fucking us. We walk through the world and we're like, oh my gosh, an invitation to a party, and all of a sudden I'm like freaked out. What happened to you, cutie? Oh, that's so gross. I've always hated when boys did that. It was always a boy too, like cracking his shit, and we're children, okay? Why is your joint so cracky? So as you call in what you really truly fucking want, okay, cuties, for me, intimacy. I want an intimate partner. I don't want to die alone. I mean, sometimes I'm like, why not? And then other times I'm like, well, the books say it's bad for you. I don't want to die alone. Okay, I'm asserting that, putting it on the internet. I don't want to die alone. Oh, how embarrassing of her. So I do want intimacy. I want to have a partnership. And yet and still, for some reason, she's always like not. And I believe truly that this is my mantra that I'm sharing with you today will get me to that place, because I'm working with this safety in others and not needing to put on this mask. See, in the acting world, there's this thing called mask work where you put a mask on and then you're more free, and beautiful things can happen for artists where you put this mask on and all of a sudden you're crying, you're evolving, you're shaping, you're shape-shifting, you're finding new parts of yourself. And that, my darlings, is totally Brava. That's me. This persona, okay, cuties, is my mask. So that Lucia can come on and be fully fucking expressed. Curse out a bitch. Okay, cuties, I never say F you to anybody. And Talia, oh me, cuties, I say F you to everybody. It's so fun. It's so fun to be a fucking bitch. And not get kicked off of a Zoom therapy sesh for being fucking rude. Okay, cuties? No. I get to be as rude as I want. Plus, quick tea, if you're on triggering Zooms, you just give a fucking reason and you take your video off. There is no declaration in your contract that says you have to be on video 24 hours a day. Okay, cuties, if you're triggered and your eyebrows are raising and you're trying to control that face, you just turn your camera off and you put a nice little headshot up. Tell them Talia told you to. You're safe here. That is the mantra for the day. You're safe here. And maybe don't watch like triggering television shows late at night. I gotta watch them early. I gotta start binging TV at like 10 a.m. Okay, Doris, that's all she wrote. Thank you so much for joining. You are safe here, safe to surrender, safe to be free, safe to be the artiste, but only if you embrace your safety can we be Brava. Build Your World is coming up August through September. We work on every level, as you can tell, my cuties, from foundation all the way up to offer. And we're going to put your big launch out into the world. So if you've been holding on to something because you're like, I'm not ready, or you've been holding on to it because you're afraid of rejection, or you're holding on to it because you're like, it's not fucking good enough, or the world isn't going to understand me, or whatever the fuck, I don't have time, I'm lazy, hello, can we just be real? Whatever it is that's been holding you back from offering your big give, Build Your World is coming up. It's 7 weeks. It's the best work that I could offer you through my alter, Lucia Brazzi, the real coach. So it's not like comedy, okay, Katie? She thinks in her real life, unlike all the other counselors. Okay, Jars, have beautiful, blessed days. You are safe here. Go enjoy this beautiful world that really is open for you. Open for biz. Flowers never wore masks. The OG anti-maskers. Flowers. Feels like a brother saying, gimme more.